This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the Bottom Feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'm going to kind of piggyback off of the previous podcast where I talked about when I got started and some of the lessons I learned. And one thing I want to focus on here is if you find yourself not making a decent profit in your business, what steps can you take to increase your profits, examine your business to find out where you may be bleeding, and to fine-tune things so that you're actually making money in your business. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy Coaching Program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support. From me, I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. One thing that you really should understand about being self-employed, that if you're not making money, you're actually doing a hobby at that point, and you're not running a business. So making a profit is something that you really need to be doing out there to make it worthwhile for all the added baggage that running your own business creates in your life. Basically, you're your own boss and you're responsible for your own income at this point. There's not as many safety nets being self-employed, and there's a lot more involvement mentally, physically, emotionally in your own business. So it has to be worthwhile to do versus getting a W-2, working a regular 9-to-5 job. I guess there can be very stressful jobs out there. I'll take that back. But a lot of people actually leave their stressful jobs and get into the pool industry because it's less stress. But it has to be worth it to you to make that leap. It has to be worth it to you to do your own business in a lot of cases with all the things added to it. If you have your own business, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So how is it that you can fix things when it looks like you're not making a lot of money at the end of the day? First, I think you have to find out what you're actually making in your pool service business. Sometimes this gets messy because you have your personal budget, maybe your spouse is working, you have another income stream coming in, and then you have the pool service. And it's one of those things where you have to kind of separate things. And to do this, you have to really do a profit and loss statement. You can get a profit and loss statement for Excel. I think there's a lot of free ones out there. I recommend going to Etsy.com and getting a spreadsheet from someone who created one. There's a lot of great profit and loss spreadsheets. That's where I get my sheets from. And then you just propagate that with everything in your business to the minutia, basically. Repair costs, fuel costs, office supplies, your chemical costs, everything should be there. You can take your healthcare payments, put them in there as well, your car insurance, your truck insurance payments, whatever is a business expense, put it in there. And then the other side is going to be all the income that comes in from the business. And with this profit and loss statement, you're going to get a net that you're going to have as your income from your pool service. And this net may fluctuate month to month, but then you can, of course, just get an average between 6 months and you'll have an average net income that you can work off of. I'm going to use a pretty simple and crude example here so that you can kind of get an idea. Of course, in your field, you're probably going to make more, but let's just take a basic flipping burgers job. Let's say you get a job at In-N-Out Burger, and I think the going rate is about $22 an hour. And after taxes, after working 40 hours a week, paying your taxes or getting the withholding taken out, your take-home pay is likely about $3,000 a month even. So you just take that $3,000 a month, plus you have, of course, benefits there, and you have vacation, things like that. So you have a little bit of benefits for working there, but that's about $36,000 a year. It's, not a living wage in California that I can think of. You're going to be struggling just doing that. You have to have another source of income or another person working. But that's a $3,000 net a month job and relatively low stress. You clock out, you go home, really nothing to worry about. You don't have to worry, I guess, about leaving the oven on because they have a cleaning crew that comes in right after and cleans the whole place. But that's In-N-Out Burger, by the way. They're really a well-run business. And so you take that, and if you're doing pool service and you're working 40 hours a week and you're netting $3,000 a month, there's a problem there. So let's set about rectifying this. So let's just say that this is what you're making after you do all this. Everything you're subtracting from your profit and loss statement. This is your net income from your business. Now, there's several things you can do at this point besides going out and getting a job at In-N-Out Burger. One thing you can do is find out, are you maximizing that 40-hour work week on your pool route? In other words, do you have enough service accounts to generate income that will raise it above that? Now, if you have a route of, let's say, 70 pools, there's room there for, 10 or 15 more pools, and that will boost up your income and get it above that amount for sure in most cases. Another thing to look at is the time you spend at each stop, and can you maximize that to add more pools but don't use up much more time. For example, a lot of times the pools on your route that take up all of your time are the ones that you really should consider getting rid of. If the pool has heavy debris or if the pool is large, then you're not getting a good premium for that pool. Or if the pool just has problems and you're always dealing with these problems, maybe it's a heavy use pool, maybe the pool equipment is not running properly and you're spending an extra 10, 15 minutes there, that's a problem. And so, of course, the 1-for-1 rule is perfect for this. You get a nice account, all cement. Small little pool, you can jump across it and it's going to pay you what the other pool is paying. Then you drop that pool, just let the customer know that you're consolidating and you're overbooked and you're going to have to drop their account at the end of the month. That's pretty good if you can kind of find those pools that you can kind of move out with when you get a new one. You're not necessarily adding more pools to your route at that point because you're doing the 1-for-1. But then you may want to add some pools as well when you can get those pools by advertising and marketing. But right now you're just kind of fine-tuning things so that you're able to do more with the hours you have. If the pool doesn't have an automatic cleaner in it, that does take you more time as well. So ideally, every pool in Southern California in my service area and the Pool Guy Podcast Show has teamed up with UPA to bring you affordable, reliable liability insurance starting at just $64 a month. Get up to $2 million in coverage, and the members of my coaching group get an even lower rate. Protect your business and your peace of mind. Sign up with UPA today by clicking the link in the podcast description. Should have an automatic cleaner to make that pool a much faster stop for you. And if it doesn't have one, you can do a couple things. You can refurbish a cleaner that you've taken from another pool. I like to rotate out cleaners from certain pools that like new things. Like a lot of customers like, hey, my cleaner's getting old. Can you replace it? I really like customers like that. And there's a lot more on your pool route than you think. So when you get to a pool and you see the cleaner is like 5 or 6 years old and not looking too pretty, but still functioning, you can tell the customer, hey, there's a better automatic cleaner out there and here's how much it would cost you. I'll pick it up for you, no charge, and put it in. I mean, no charge, no markup, I should say, and no charge to install it. But yeah, you're going to charge them for the cleaner. And you put that in and take their old one out, maybe with the Hayward Navigator, and then you repurpose that with a pool without a cleaner and just put it in that pool, and that saves you time. Or you can sell them a lower end cleaner like a Zodiac Ranger for like $200. Anything will help you in most cases to save time if you have a cleaner in the pool. So that's your first thing, is to kind of maximize that time, free up that time so you can add more accounts. If there's a pool that you're driving 20 minutes to get to, and then maybe 10 minutes back towards your route, that's half an hour. So that's, you can do 1 or 2 pools in that time, hopefully. So that pool needs to go. So you can fill that time with actually 3 pools, because now you drop that one and you have 2 more pools filling up that drive time back and forth, and you've maximized your time. So I would say before you think about advertising and spending money on marketing, which you may not have a big budget for it because you're not making that much money at this point, try to consolidate your route and try to make it more effective and efficient, freeing you up some hours on your day so that you can maybe add some more services to make some more money. Green pool cleanups, acid washes, some equipment installs, because now you have an extra 4 or 5 hours that week to do those things and add some more income, because you've just kind of fine-tuned your pool route and you have more hours without adding any accounts at that point. If you have it in your budget, I would start advertising aggressively. You can use Google ads, which are pretty effective. You can try Facebook ads. They're actually really good now with their new AI, and you can really possibly get some accounts with the Facebook ads. It pretty much writes the whole ad for you on Facebook. You set a budget. It may be a good avenue. You could try the services like Home Advisor, Yelp, Thumbtack. These are all sales-driven services, so be aware that a salesperson is going to be calling you and trying to get you to expand your parameters. And when you do the aggressive marketing, you may bring in some more service accounts at a pretty good service rate, because you may have some accounts that you started out with a lower rate, and these are going to be accounts at a higher rate. So bring those on. And once you get to a point where you have a good amount of accounts, let's say you had 70 pools, now you're up to 85 pools. Now's the time to take it to the next level. And this is where you send a letter out to your customers. And if you want a copy, it's a really simple form letter that I created. It's really simple. You can probably do it yourself, but if you do want to see mine, I can send you that. Just email me at david@swimmingpoollearning.com. That's david@swimmingpoollearning.com. I also have service agreements, green pool, cleanup waivers, acid wash waivers, things like that for you. And basically, you would want to do a price increase, whatever you think they can tolerate. Let's say $10. So here's where the math gets really good for you. If you have, and then the 15 pools you just got, you want to take that out of the equation because you're getting them at market value. But if you have 70 pools, you're going to raise $10. And let's just say you're charging $150 each, and so you go to $160. So 70 times 160, that's 11,200. Minus 70 times 150, which is 1,500. That means that's an extra $700 a month right there, or $8,400 a year. So that's pretty good. You just increased your income by $700. Let's say 1 or 2 customers drop. That's perfectly fine. You're still making more money, maybe not quite as much more, and then you have time freed up. But if no one drops with a $10 increase, you're pretty much golden at that point. You just increase your income by $700 a month. But you may lose 1 or 2 customers, which is fine, and you can replace them with 1 or 2 more customers. And that's kind of how you fine-tune things. And this may take, depending on your area, 6 months to 9 months to do this, to get your profit maximized. And it's something that you have to really apply yourself to do. So you have this kind of profit and loss that you're working off every month, and you're seeing the profit increase, and you want to start controlling some of the losses. How do you do that? Well, I think a strict budget is really important. If you're stopping every day for lunch out there and you're spending, $12 for lunch every day, 12 times 5, that's $60 times 4.3. That's like $260 right there, times 12. That's $3,000 in lunches that you're using every day while you're working. So you could probably cut back on that or cut that out entirely and put that money towards a vacuum system or a portable filtration system or better equipment. If you have chemicals that you're using and you're not charging the customer for, that could be a problem as well. Let's say that you're shocking the pool, not charging them, or you're doing algae treatments without charging them, or you're supplying the 3-inch trichlor tablets without charging them for a 50-pound bucket. That's something that you can implement slowly. How you do this is that you kind of find the customers that you think can absorb the cost if you're not already charging them for it. And then you go ahead and start them off by changing your billing method where they buy the 3-ounce tricolor tablets. You may have half your route where if you do that, they're going to push back. So just wait on that and do a surcharge the first year for chemicals. Say, the chemical costs have gone up tremendously. I have to add a surcharge at the beginning of the summer for $100. And then next year you can implement the tablets. You can figure out ways to do it so that you don't get a lot of pushback. But there's a lot of customers that you're like, oh, I can no longer provide you with the tricolor tablets. Unfortunately, you have to purchase the bucket of them, and it's $180 or whatever you're going to charge them. And some people are fine with that. Others won't be. So kind of work that in if that's necessary. If you're putting phosphate removers or enzymes in and not charging them, you definitely want to charge them for the bottle so you're not losing money. And so just by doing that, you may be able to save a couple $100 or more in chemical costs. So if you add those together, your $2,400 in chemical cost savings plus $3,000 by skipping lunch, you're at $5,400 for that year already. So that's quite a good amount of money that you're saving. And you kind of see where I'm going here, where you can kind of fine tune what you're doing on your business end so you're not spending too much money on certain things and you're increasing your profits at the same time. So if you increase your profits and you minimize your expenses, you're going to increase your profitability of your business kind of twofold at that point. And I think try not to do anything foolish. Like, this is something that I think a lot of people short circuit their business by doing. They'll be doing pretty well. Their profits are increasing. They have a pretty good vehicle, and then they just get the idea that, hey, I'm going to get a new truck, and they're super expensive nowadays. They get the new truck, they're paying $900 a month in the payment or $1,000 a month in the payment, and there goes all of the effort that you put into saving money and getting to that level. Now, I'm not saying you can't do that at some point, but if you can budget for it, anything like that is a luxury in my opinion, and this is something that should be paid for out of excess profits. So if you wanted a $1,000 a month truck payment because you wanted a really good truck, then that should be accounted for as you making an extra $1,000 somewhere in the business to where it doesn't really affect your bottom line. And then you can do that. I don't think you should take it out of your normal profit because then you're just hurting yourself at that point. It should be something that you can afford when you maybe bring on an employee and you're making a lot more extra money. And then that's not a huge problem. And you're going to get some good tax deductions as well with that if you're going to do the expense deduction on your taxes. So it's not a total loss. You just have to do it logically and find the right time to do things like that. Buying equipment is another story. I think it's fine to invest in a bottom feeder or a riptide or some vacuum system, hammerhead, because at that point you may need it to speed up your time on your route, to squeeze in more accounts. And spending that money on it is logical because you're creating time, which means you can add a couple more accounts, which will pay for that in a few months' time. So those are logical purchases. You wouldn't be able to do that or absorb a truck payment the same way you can absorb more premium equipment, if you know what I'm saying here. So whenever you buy something like that, like a bottom feeder or a riptide, you want to make sure that you're able to maximize your time, bring in an account or two, or do extra services to pay for that, so you pay that off pretty rapidly. So once you get those bad accounts off your route, and since I was talking about the bottom feeder, it reminded me of a quote by Glenn. He's the creator of the bottom feeder. He said that 95% of your problems come from 5% of your service accounts. So true, I think. If you look at your route, you have 80 pools. You're going to find that 4 or 5 of those that are giving you the most trouble are the ones that you probably should drop, and then you're going to have 99% of the pools being no problem for you. And that's kind of a good formula when you get to a point where you can again drop those pools, late payers, pools that allow debris, pools that waste your time, long drive times, and get your hours maximized. Then you're going to take that at the beginning $3,000 a month income, and I would say implementing all of this, just talking about it, not recalculating it, you probably brought that up to over $5,000, maybe $6,000 a month, just by doing these simple things here. Nothing radical really, and understanding kind of how the math works in business, that if you're making as much as you can make flipping burgers, you shouldn't be running a business But if you can scale it slightly to the point where you make double that income, possibly, or almost double that income, working the same amount of hours, then of course it's more than worth it to have your own business at that point. If you're looking for other podcasts, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Every Monday through Friday, I put an episode there. Also, if you go to my website, swimmingforlearning.com, on the banner there's a podcast icon. You click on that, there'll be a drop-down menu with 1700 podcasts for you there. And if you're interested in the coaching program they offer, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.